All right, ready to dive into a world where perspectives get a little skewed. Today, we're setting sail with Jonathan Swift and Gulliver's Travels.
Oh, a classic choice. And a good one for a deep dive.
Right. Not just a fantastical adventure, though. We're going deeper.
Yeah, those excerpts you sent really get to the heart of Swift's satire.
It's amazing how he uses those wild voyages to hold up a mirror. It's like, hey, look at yourselves.
And what he shows us, well, it's not always pretty.
Oh, definitely not. And that's what makes it so brilliant. It's funny, sure, but it's more than that. It's making us think critically about ourselves and the world.
And centuries later, it still hits hard.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Like take Lilliput, for
The
example.
Speedy people, right?
Exactly, where Gulliver is shipwrecked and suddenly he's a giant, bound by these people the size of your thumb. Swift's descriptions are so meticulous, those tiny chains binding him.
I can picture it. It's almost, unsettling when you think about it.
Like, talk about feeling out of place.
It reminds me of that time I went to that tech conference. We knew nothing about coding. Everyone's talking blockchain and metaverse.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
And I'm just nodding along like, yep, I totally get it.
That feeling of being an outsider, not understanding the rules, that's what Swift captures so well.
Oh, totally.
And in Lilliput, those rules are just absurd. I mean, come on, they're at war over which end of an egg to crack. High heels versus low heels?
You gotta be kidding me.
Nope. Brilliant satire of political division, though, right?
It is. Like those historical clashes between Catholics and Protestants all over these little details.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, haven't we all seen those arguments online? I mean, getting all heated over things that don't really matter in the grand scheme.
Just like we forget there's a whole world outside our little bubbles.
Oh, for sure.
And that's Swift's genius. He takes these seemingly small, trivial things and blows them up. Forces us to see how silly we can be.
Yeah, and he doesn't stop there.
No, not at all. There's the power dynamics, too.
Right. Even though Gulliver is massive, he's at the mercy of these tiny people.
Because they found a way to control him. Like those chains, it's not always brute force, right? Sometimes it's expectations, politics, fear even, that binds us.
Speaking of shifting power, what about Brabanding, where everything is giant?
It's like Swift saying, okay, you think you're so powerful. Now imagine being the small one.
Whoa. Okay, yeah.
Suddenly, Gulliver's being gawked at, carried around in a little box by a girl. Glumdubclitch, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
It's a reminder of how quickly things can change.
And how we see the world so differently when we're looking up, literally and figuratively.
Exactly. But it's more than just size, right? The Brobdingnagians, they're actually presented as more, morally sound than the Europeans.
Really?
Yeah, their king, he's horrified by the violence and political stuff that Gulliver describes. It's like a critique of European society itself.
Huh. I never thought about it that way. What would I be horrified by if I encountered a different civilization, what seems barbaric to them about U.S.?
It makes you think. And that's why Gulliver's Travels is so powerful. It forces us to question our assumptions, see things differently.
Confront those uncomfortable truths, too.
Absolutely.
So we've been tiny, we've been huge. What's next?
Next, we're going to defy gravity itself. Get ready for the floating island of Laputa.
Laputa, the land of the,
Absent-minded intellectuals.
Right. They're so engrossed in their thoughts, they forget about the world below.
Heads in the clouds, literally. Obsessed with astronomy, music.
Reminds me of that friend who's always got these grand theories but can't remember to pay rent.
Huh. Except here, it's an entire society.
So Swift's satirizing intellectualism.
Yeah, taken to an extreme.
Yeah.
Where knowledge is for its own sake. No practical use.
And they control Balnibarbi, right? The land below.
Oh yeah, they don't just live in the clouds, they rule from them.
Talk about power dynamics. And what about that Academy of Legato? That sounds wild.
It's like a mad scientist's playground, extracting sunbeams from cucumbers, turning, well, let's just say waste back into food.
Hold on.
And learning math by randomly shuffling words. It's hilarious.
But also kind of scary, right? Like, are we doing any Legato projects today?
It's something to think about, isn't it? What seems cutting edge now might be laughable later.
But it's not just about silly science, right? There's a darker side.
Oh, for sure. Swift's also critiquing how intellectuals can exploit others with their knowledge, detached from the real world.
Power can corrupt no matter how smart you are.
Exactly.
So from the ridiculous to the, well, maybe terrifying, Gulliver's final voyage, where the line between human and animal gets really blurry.
Yes. This is where things get really interesting and a bit disturbing. The land of the Houyhnhnms and Yahoos.
All right, I think I need to brace myself for this one.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
This is Swift at his most provocative. Get ready for a wild ride.
So, the Yahoos, huh? I'm not sure I'm ready for this.
Well, it's definitely Swift's most, let's say, controversial creation. After Lilliput and Brobdingnag, Gulliver ends up in a place where things are flipped.
Humans are the animals.
Well, the brutish ones, yeah. And horses, they're in charge.
It's like a total role reversal.
Right. And it forces us to look at ourselves, and it ain't pretty. Swift doesn't hold back with the Yahoos.
No, they're pretty awful. Greedy, violent, kind of ridiculous.
Exactly. Driven by their basest instincts, they fight over shiny pebbles, hoard them even though they're useless. Sound familiar?
Ouch. Okay, I see the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, our obsession with stuff, always needing more, maybe we're not so different.
It's questions Swift wants us to ask ourselves. And then you have the Houyhnhnms, noble, rational horses. Their society is all about reason, virtue.
No lying, no cheating, no war.
Right. They can't even comprehend those things. Gulliver tries to explain human society, and they're just baffled.
That's what I find so unsettling. It's not that they're judging us, they just don't get it. It's like they're looking at us from another planet.
Exactly. And that's the brilliance of it. By making the horses the voice of reason, Swift's basically critiquing the rest of us. Like, come on, even horses can figure this out.
Right. And it raises the question, if reason is the key, why are WU so bad at it?
$1,000,000 question. Philosophers have been debating that forever. Swift doesn't give us easy answers, but he shows us that tension between reason and our, well, less than reasonable side.
I've always wondered, where did he get the idea for the Houyhnhnms, these perfect horses? Was he just messing with us, or is there something more to it?
There are theories. Some say he was drawing on old ideas about horses being noble. Others think he was engaging with the philosophy of his time, debates about reason and animals.
Maybe it's both. In a way, the Houyhnhnms are like this perfect version of humanity without the flaws, what we could be.
Exactly. But then you have the Yahoos, representing the opposite. All instinct, no self-control. And they're not just a joke, they really bother Gulliver.
Because he sees himself in them. He wants to be like the Houyhnhnms, but he can't deny that part of him.
It's a powerful moment. He's literally stripped bare and forced to confront that.
That's a scary thought, right? Seeing ourselves in these brutish creatures makes you question what it means to be human.
Right. Swift's satire goes beyond just poking fun. It becomes a philosophical exploration. What are we?
It's like he's saying, don't kid yourselves, you're all yahoos deep down.
Well, he's definitely provocative. But remember, satire is about shaking us up, making us think. Maybe by exaggerating our flaws, he's challenging us to be better.
So maybe it's not about despairing over our yahoo-ness. It's about recognizing it and trying to rise above it.
Exactly. Maybe the journey isn't becoming a perfect Houyhnhnm, but finding a balance. Reason and emotion, aspirations and delimitations.
We're all on that spectrum somewhere, right? Yahoo to Houyhnhnm. The challenge is finding our place on it.
Beautifully put. And that brings us to Gulliver's return to England, which, after all that, is maybe the hardest journey of all.
Talk about culture shock. It's like coming back from an amazing vacation and your everyday life seems so blah.
Except for Gulliver. It's more than just a vacation. His whole worldview has been shattered. He's seen what he thinks is a better way, and now he can't handle the messiness of humanity.
He can't even stand to be around his own family. He prefers his horses.
Again, Swift takes it to the extreme. Gulliver's alienation shows how powerful perspective can be. He's been so changed by the Houyhnhnms that he can't see any good at humans anymore.
But is that Swift's view too? Are we all doomed to be yahoos?
That's the big question. Swift was so good at leaving things open to interpretation. Some see pessimism, others see a call for change.
I think it's both. He was disillusioned, for sure. But he also believed in reason and the power of satire to make a difference.
If he thought we were hopeless, would he have bothered writing this?
Right. Maybe by showing us these extremes, the yahoos and the idealized horses, he's nudging us towards a middle ground.
Exactly. He's giving us two distorted mirrors, one showing our worst side, the other an impossible dream. And somewhere in between, we have to find our own way.
So it's not about being a horse, it's about being a better human, recognizing those yahoo tendencies and fighting them.
It's a struggle, but that's what makes us human.
And that's why Gulliver's Travels still matters, right? These are timeless questions. Reason versus emotion. What's a good life? Can we build a better world?
Big questions. And Swift doesn't give us all the answers.
But that's the beauty of it. He makes us think, question, see things differently.
And I think he'd be happy to know that we're still talking about these things centuries later.
So as we wrap up, what do we do with all this? What do we make of Gulliver and his transformation?
And that's up to each reader. But one thing's for sure, it's a journey of self-discovery. He confronts the best and the worst of humanity. And in a way, he challenges us to do the same.
So we left Gulliver back in England. Not exactly loving it, huh?
Nope. He's seen the Houyhnhnms, that world of pure reason, and now human society just seems gross.
He can't even stand the smell of his own family, prefers talking to horses, thinks they're smarter.
It's satire on overdrive. Gulliver's so alienated it shows just how much perspective matters.
He's been brainwashed, basically.
Well, yeah, by the Houyhnhnms. He can't see humans as anything but bad now.
But is that what Swift thinks too? Are we all just yahoos deep down?
The big question. Swift, he's tricky. Left a lot open to interpretation.
Some people see it as super pessimistic, like we're all doomed.
Others see hope, a call to be better.
I think it's both, honestly. Swift wasn't exactly happy with the world around him.
No, but he also believed in reason, in using satire to point out the problems.
Yeah, if he thought we were totally hopeless, would he have even bothered writing this?
Good point.
Maybe by showing us those extremes, the Yahoo Zandy, the perfect horses, he's saying there's got to be a middle ground.
Right. Find a balance.
It's not about being a horse, but being a better human. Knowing we've got those Yahoo instincts, but trying to fight them.
It's tough, that's for sure.
So, what do we take away from all this? What's the point of Gulliver's crazy adventures?
I think in the end it's about self-discovery. Gulliver, he sees the best and the worst of humanity, both out there and inside himself.
And it makes us look at ourselves, right?
Exactly. We've got Lilliput, tiny and absurd, Brobdingnag, wise but kind of scary, Laputa, all brains, no common sense, and then the Houyhnhnms and Yahoos, two sides of the same coin, maybe?
Makes you think.
It does. So as you go about your day, keep Gulliver in mind. Remember those lessons, those crazy societies.
And if you're ever feeling a little Yahoo-ish.
Take a step back, have a laugh at yourself. Maybe that's all it takes to get back on track.
That's some good advice. Well, folks, that's our deep dive into Gulliver's travels. Hope you enjoyed the journey.
And remember, those big questions Swift asks, they're still relevant today. Keep thinking about them. What would your ideal society look like? What needs changing?
Thanks for listening.
Safe travels.